Hello and welcome to the study number 5 in our series looking through the books of 1st and 2nd Corinthians. And this one's entitled All to the Glory of God. And what Paul is doing here in 1 Corinthians 8 and 9 and 10 is talking about food sacrificed to idols, whether you should do that or not. And if there was a difference of opinion, you may say, well, what's that got to do with us? No, not that specific problem. But in dealing with it, we begin to see how we can examine, understand, and resolve problems among Christians who believe different things about different subjects. He begins like this. Now, about, quotes, food sacrificed to idols, end quotes. That tells me that he's responding to the letter that they wrote, and now he's picking up this subject to respond, to say what he thinks. So we, quotes, all have knowledge about this subject. Everybody has some opinion, something to say about it, maybe. But he goes on to say, knowledge makes us proud, but love strengthens us. Yes, we can be proud of what we know, but in order to love one another, we sometimes have to suspend that. If anyone thinks they know anything, they don't know as they really should know. But whoever loves God is known by God. So he really is trying to start off with a peaceable, irenic, if you like that word, position of trying to resolve things amicably. Verse 4. So regarding eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that there are no such things as idols in this world, and that there is only one real God. Even though there are some things called gods, in fact there are many gods and lords, but for us there is only one God, the Father, from whom everything was made, and he is the goal of our existence, and one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom everything was made, and he is the means of our existence. So he's basically saying it's not really an issue because there are no such things as idols. But, and this is the big but, there are some who do think otherwise. He says very clearly, verse 8, food doesn't gain us God's approval. Whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, we don't avoid certain things because we fear it's a religious principle. It's because it's a health issue. That's what I would want to submit. And then he says in verse 9, just take care not to use this freedom you have to eat food sacrificed to idols to become offensive to those with a weaker attitude. And that's it, isn't it? How do you deal with people who think differently? How do you help them? And how do you not be offensive to them or antagonistic to them? How do you try and work with them? You might even not do things that you feel you're perfectly entitled to simply because you know that other people might be upset or offended by your actions. He says, if another believer sees you who have better knowledge, quotes, eating food in an idol temple, won't his weak conscience be convinced to eat food sacrificed to idols? In other words, this is peer pressure issue. Seeing somebody else doing something doesn't give you the right to do it if you think it's wrong, and so on. In this way, you sin against other believers, wounding their weaker consciences, and you sin against Christ. That's a very powerful statement, isn't it? I think you're sinning against the Lord. So if eating food sacrificed to idols will cause my fellow believer to stumble, I will never eat such meat ever again, so that I don't offend any believer. So that's his basic position there. And he continues that in chapter 9 and on into chapter 10, talking about spiritual issues and ideas of what it really does mean to be a Christian, and to exemplify that in your life. He says in 1 Corinthians 10:31, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, now there's a powerful line, whatever you do, make sure to do everything to the glory of God. That is meant to be your principle. That is the way you're meant to be operating. Eating, drinking, whatever you're doing. We're not talking about religious taboos. We're not talking about eating things which are going to be bad for our health. You don't want to be eating some of those things that are prescribed in the Levitical commands. Why would you want to even eat some of these things? But it's not a matter of the fact you do or do not eat that gets you into the kingdom. What gets you into the kingdom, if I could put it like that, is being loving and caring to those around you. That's what this is all about. So whatever you eat or drink, whatever you do, and making sure you live healthily too, I want to add that, do everything to the glory of God. May we do exactly that.